What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Just a quick episode today. There has been an awful lot going on. I apologize for the lateness of this episode, but things are happening. The first of which, my garage door broke. The one that serves as the entrance and egress from the game room broke. So I had loaded in a new game, and unfortunately when I brought the garage door down, it gave its last. So I've been waiting for a new garage door to come in stock for a while, and it finally did. And it was just installed this past week on the day when I normally put up this episode. So I wasn't able to record at that time, and I managed to hurt my back moving a bunch of games out so that the door could be installed. Who would have figured? So that put me behind as well. On top of that, I've just got quite a bit going on. So let's talk kind of rapid fire about some of those things. First of all, I'll be at the York Show October 11th and 12th of 2019. And the 10th as well, if you're there on Thursday, bringing a game. I'll be there representing Coin Op Carnival with the booth, and I'll also be in Bingo Row. And at Bingo Row, we're going to have a fairly substantial selection of bingos from all different eras. On top of that, there's going to be the multi-bingo, which can play every production bingo game that was made in the United States, and multi-races, which is the same concept, but for one-ball horse race games. Those were made from 1936 to 1952. Every year I have a little giveaway for people who do well on the games, and this year, to celebrate the inaugural run of multi-races, I'm going to have special tokens that dispense from multi-races. Thanks to David from Ulick Store for the quick work. So if you're able to succeed and win some replays on certain games on multi-races, it will dispense a token, and you can take that home with you if you like. The artwork was done by Ryan Clater, the comics artist, and a good friend of mine who also did all the artwork for Coin Op Carnival. So if you're familiar with his work through the book or through his numerous pinball accomplishments, you'll be familiar with his style. And I think that translates well to the token. So, while you're there, play, win, and hopefully take home a token or two on me. So, aside from that, what else is going on? I've been helping people fix their games as usual. There was a fellow who posted that he had a Gaiety, which is a Magic Pockets bingo pinball machine, one of two that they made, and he was having trouble with his shutter. This is a problem that I see very frequently from new bingo owners or new bingo mechanics, that they can't get the game to start properly. So they're starting and lifting a ball, and then when you shoot the first ball, it's supposed to close the shutter so that the game can actually progress and play. And I see this very frequently where the shutter doesn't close. Well, the thing that is the most likely cause of that is the timer unit. And that timer unit needs to step up crisply, and it needs to reset very quickly. And it has to reset all the way back to 0. Frequently, the problem is going to be just crud on the timer unit, but once the timer unit's rebuilt, it's good for quite some time. And the secondary cause that I see frequently is the lifter switch. So on the lifter motor itself, there is a switch, and that switch needs to be clean and well adjusted. It tends to get fouled very easily. It doesn't tend to come out of adjustment very easily. It's in not exactly a protected area, but it's kind of tucked away in a spot where it's unlikely to come out of adjustment just from, bending in the machine and actually snagging switch, with a long sleeve shirt or something. So check those things and make sure they're working properly. And almost guaranteed the game's going to fire right up, and then you'll be on to the next thing if there's another problem. But yeah, that solved it in this case, and that was good. And then went over to my friend Steve's house. He has a King of Diamonds that he is getting ready for the York show, hopefully. And it's got some replay problems. And for those who have played King of Diamonds, you know, it's all about the replays. So it's kind of tragic if the replays don't function. Somebody had been through this game and misadjusted a lot of the switches. And the long blades of the switches were deformed in many cases. That is kind of an annoying problem because you have to reform all the switches in order to make them have the appropriate amount of travel after they meet. So there was a lot of, you know, what controls this? Okay, find that. Oh, look, the switch is misadjusted. Readjust it, that kind of thing. There were a couple of switches in particular, one on the credit unit, and part of this was done in service of free play mode. I guess they didn't want the credit unit to move for some reason. They had wired the coin switch to the door switch, which is probably the easiest way you can put that on free play. But unfortunately, the credit unit had also been mangled in various different ways. There's a normally closed switch which opens when the max credits are hit, and that switch just wasn't making. When it was jumped out, then replays would be awarded, but only certain ones. Now, again, for those familiar with the game, I apologize, but for those who haven't played it in this kind of depth, there is a sequence, and that sequence is all of the cards, ace through king, in a single suit, in this case diamonds, and you want to hit them. Rollovers, targets, etc. are all labeled, and then there's a big carousel roto target which will randomize and give you, you know, up to, I think it's 5 targets that you can hit at one time, at one facing of the unit. So once you get all the targets knocked down, then you're awarded a replay. There's replays for score, and those all worked with jumping that switch out. What did not work was the secondary replay sequence, and that's controlled by YA, YB, and ZB, I think, those relays. And essentially what happens is there's a rotating cast of face cards, or cards in the full house, so ace through 10, ace, 10, jack, queen, king. And the match unit will move, the 0 to 9 unit in Gottlieb speak, will move, and for each position that it's moved to, there's a different card that you have to hit. And so that card will light up on the playfield, and when you hit it, you're supposed to get the crack of a replay. Well, that didn't happen. And took that unit apart. Everything looked okay. Somebody had misassembled the 0 to 9 unit, and on those there's a triangular piece. It's kind of like on the rotos that has to be reassembled with the flat spot facing. The set screw that you put on to hold this collar on, and unfortunately somebody had rammed that on incorrectly and then put the set screw into the shaft directly instead of on the flat spot. So the set screw, of course, pushes on the metal and pushes it away, but there's nowhere for it to go. So basically, this collar was jammed into place, and that prevented us from, taking the unit completely apart. The nice thing about Gottlieb's is you can take a few of those hairpins out, and then you can look at the backside, but you can't really see what's going on without actually getting the unit apart. So I was a bit stymied there, but either there's a wire which is not making, which grounds the unit, or there's some kind of problem with the spaghetti side of the 0 to 9 unit. And what that might be, I don't know. The game had been fooled around with so much that, maybe there was a solder bomb in there. Somebody had dropped a daub of solder in there and it just didn't work. The interesting thing is that it doesn't work in any position. So it's something common to all of it, and that speaks to me of a ground feed type situation. Conductivity through all of the fingers was correct, so it's something on the rivet side. Time waits for no one, and unfortunately, me especially at the moment. So please come and join me at the York Show, the White Rose Game Room Show. I look forward to seeing you, and until that time, keep those EMs running. All right. Well, thanks very much for listening. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1. You can listen to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, also at Bingo Podcast, or you can listen to me on my website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.